Hey, what's up, everybody? Looking at the price of XRP, we're hovering around that 290 area. It's looking to me like, we got some kind of a flat working in here. So we'll keep an eye on that. But let's look around a little bit here, because when I look at like SHIB, you got this beautiful three-wave correction. It looks like it's finished, and then you just got this impulse. That's why I was waiting to do a video. I wanted to see if we impulsed, and we did. So let's look at this a little closer here. Let's look at it like that. So look at that. I mean, you can pretty much see, right? We're revving up, had to move up, right? We had a three-wave correction, got a little bit of a pop. So the idea here is for it to flag and keep moving, and then keep going, right? Now, if we get something like that, we can then see it start, we could have like three down, three up, and then three back down, right? And then go up. So those are the two ideas there. And then the third is, I think, maybe even less likely, which is, kind of just breaking the low and just continuing to come down. I just don't really see that. So there you go. Short and sweet. Let's look at Bitcoin. So Bitcoin looks a little nasty. I'm looking at this. I mean, there's two different ways to look at it. And the same goes with SHIB, right? Basically, you got three down, and this could keep going down. It looks like it's going to keep going down. You get three up, and then you get five or three back down, then go up, and then you have yourself a three-wave move that takes several days. That would be the long one. The shorter one suggests that, this could be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you have A, you're going to get B and C, and then go up. So you're just going to get an A, B, C, and then go up. So real quick, the other thing is what about the wave, right? Because it doesn't look finished. It looks like a 1, 2. It looks like 3, 4. Maybe you need one more for 5. And either that is the end of a flat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we go up, or we have an A, B, C, and then we go up, or we have something like 3 down, we get 3 up, and then we get 5 or 3 down, and then we go up. So which one's it going to be? I mean, I know that's not really helpful, but at the end of the day, it is helpful because all of them are saying up. Now, what about downside? Is there anything that could happen to the downside? Well, if we're just not looking at wave structure and Elliott wave, then a simple way to look at it is a back test. So we could come down, back test, and then keep popping. So, the only way, and you can say, well, there's no downside risk. Well, of course there's downside risk, because if we get down here, right, and we break below it, and then we get rejected, and then we keep going down, that's when you say, okay, party's over. Right? So I don't think that's going to happen. I think this is going to flag, and we're going to keep pumping. Now, the best case scenario, the flat is done, and we're ready. Right? We're ready to go. When I say done, I mean once this wave is done. So a little bit further, but once that flat is done, then we go up. And it's really simple, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and then let's get 5. That's the way I would love to see it go down. Short, sweet, simple, right? Same degree. So there we go, Bitcoin. Now, we did come up quite a bit, right? We came all the way. That's a $25,000 move. That's a 25% move for Bitcoin. That's a very good amount right there. And that literally took what? Let's see. It took 21 days. 21 days. I mean, think about it. Go back to 2014 and tell somebody back over here, or even back over here, that Bitcoin at some point in its life, not that long in the future, right? Literally 10 years later, that Bitcoin is going to go up $25,000 in literally only about 20 days. That's pretty crazy. So that's more than $1,000 a day, right? Now the percentages aren't really appealing, but the overall gravitas of the number, like over 100K Bitcoin. I feel like people expected 100K, and now that 100K is here, it's like, okay, what's next, right? I'll tell you what, I've noticed that if you were to tell someone, this is my speculation, but if you were to tell someone right here, what would be more exciting, 20K or 100K? They would all say 100K, obviously, right? Everybody would. But when we went to 20K, that was actually more exciting than when Bitcoin was at 100, than when Bitcoin hit 100K. Because nobody was expecting 20K. Everybody was expecting 100K. And they had all of this time to really understand, holy crap, this is really something special. Right? Think about everything you've had in these areas, right? I mean, anything from Michael Saylor to the ETF to everything else, right? Regulation, I mean, everything. So, back in the day, it was like, oh, like, is this actually happening? Versus today, it's more like, yeah, well, you should have done it already, So, and I think that's actually a better thing. I think that's kind of a good thing because it's validating it, but also people are upset that, what do we want? Crypto. When do we want it? Now. It's like everybody's on strike against the SEC and the government. Like, let's go. Let's do this. And we have a pro-crypto government, but I think, it, for whatever reason, it's it's taking longer now. There's been a lot of stuff going on in the world, and so crypto's really not at their focal point as much as the entire economy, but there's still no excuse. We want to get crypto moving, and what is it? The Senator Loomis, that one bill, and there's a couple other ones too that are coming. So I just want that to speed up, but I think that's really not going to play too much of a factor in this bull run, because I feel like the move is already committed and it's already almost there. So I think it's going to be the anticipation of it, right? Because once the news happens, it's done, it's over. And it's like, okay, what's next? Right, so the main narrative to it is to keep people with anticipation, right? Because it's, like C19, everyone thought it was going to go lower, right? Because they were anticipating the world shutting down, and there's just no way it's going to keep going down. right? But that was like a liquidation, and we quickly came back up. And then when we got up here, like Michael Saylor, Elon Musk, all that stuff going on, right? So where you expected it, well, we got to keep it continuing higher, right? So what do people expect right now? I don't think people really know. I think the altcoins, I think just it kind of sways back and forth because we're ranging, right? You can see sentiment is just constantly shifting, um, up and down, right? Lately, it's been up, which is good. So, when it comes to like XRP, I think people are expecting it to go up. So does that mean it goes down? I mean, well, I still think, well, ultimately, it will go up, right? But if we look at, let me get the other chart, look at it from a technical perspective, the only other issue with XRP, if people are expecting it, if too many people are expecting it to break out right now, then it usually doesn't happen, right? Because usually the masses are wrong. When somebody does a poll on X or whatever, and everyone says one answer, well, it's usually the other answer, right? When it comes to price. So we should do a poll. When do you think XRP is going to break out? Do you think it's going to break out like this, where we have, this flat, and this is a 1-2, and we're gearing up, and we're just going to get ready to go? I think that would be the best, right? Or if it's too many people on one side of the trade, leverage too much on that theory, on that outcome, then what could happen is a liquidation, right? Meaning you get 3 waves down, or you could say 3 waves up, and then 3 waves back down, and then go up, which would totally suck, right? I mean, because if you look how long this took just to get back there, what was that? That was a 90-day. That was 3 months. That was 3 months from here. It actually took longer. It took, oh no, it's actually the same. Actually, it was actually a little bit more. So we'll just say it took 80 days to get down. It took 90 days to get back up. So if it had to do another 3-wave move, it would probably be around 60 to 100 days before you go skyrocketing to the upside. So it'd be 3 down, 3 up, and then 5 or 3, depending if it's a WXY or ABC, right? And you say, well, why would anyone think that? Well, that's a 3-wave move. You got an impulse and a 3-wave move. But what is the problem? The problem is it's too big. It doesn't really line up with Bitcoin a lot. But it does make sense for the other alts, because like if we look at Theta, unless it just shoots up like this, right, with a little bit of a, that would be amazing. But going through these retrace levels, it's you're gonna come up, pull back, come up, pull back. It's gonna take time. I don't know if it's gonna be a grind up or if it's gonna be a shot up, right? So the last 2 times it's been a shot up. So hopefully the retrace will be as well, and it doesn't take forever. But if it does take forever, then that would explain maybe we're not ready to go yet. Maybe this is the B wave. What is the ultimate trap? B waves, right? Now, you could say, well, we already had the B wave. A, B, C. There's your B. Right, and it's in the correct degree. But they can always turn it more complex. So you can get 3 up and then 3 down, and it just grows it, you know, if this is a third, one third, one third, one third, right? So now what do I think is going to happen? I feel like this is such a very beautiful impulse. The way it's correcting, I feel like you got to play it by the small time frames, you know. But by judging the small time frames right now, you know, I'm looking at this as a flat and then continue. Now, if this doesn't play and we keep going down, then I'll look at it as an expanded flat. And then if we go back up and get rejected and keep going down, then I'll be like, okay, this is turning into something bigger. Then it would open up a higher possibility that we are doing 333, right? We are doing that bigger, more complex pullback. But I don't think so, because again, when I look at theta, you know, it looks pretty good. You know, you got this pump, you got a 3-wave move. You know, you could get a little bit of a more of a complex, but ultimately it's correcting bullishly, right? It's correcting bullishly as it should. It's not like, you know, let's take a look at AVAX. It's not like you shot up and you basically did one of these guys over here, right? Here you shoot up and then bam, lights out. That's not what's happening, right? You're shooting up and you're correcting bullishly. Big difference from these two situations. So that's what's interesting about it, right? You know, same thing with ICP. You got this 3-wave move, an impulse. It's looking really good. It's looking like this, right? So you level up, boom, 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 level up, boom, 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 boom. So it kind of looks like this, but reverse. So if I flip it upside down, well, look at that. Isn't that the same kind of look? You come up, A, B, C, right there, boom, 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 flat, and then bam. So go back over here, and then now look at it from this perspective. So it's as if we were like right here. So, I mean, it could happen today. It could happen tonight. We could get, you know, another continuation. So I would say one to watch would be Ethereum and XRP. So if we look at Ethereum, it's got a really good looking running flat, you know, a massive impulse and a running flat and really bullish right here. This is really bullish. The way it came out, this actually looks like the XRP fractal. So this would be C19, the little hump, the big pump, the SEC lawsuit, and then the see you later. So, but it's really bullish because you shoot up and you slam down and then you shoot way back up. So it's like retesting those lows and getting bought up viciously in a bullish running flat formation, breaking the highs. So the other alternative would be like this is a B wave. So 3 and 3 and then 3 and then go. So you never know if you're going to get that final third or that final third wave, right? Even if it breaks the high, it could still be a flat. So that's why you want it, like for example, right here, you had a 3-way move down and you came up rather nicely and you broke the high, but it still came all the way back down, right? Why? Because you really only had 3 waves. It was only 3 waves. So this could have been the 4th, and then we could have went on and went the 5th. So this is where you really got to watch it. if you're trading. If you're hodling and you're buying and you're in your dollar cost averaging, it's nothing to worry about. There's not one thing to worry about. Because you know over time, crypto will eventually go up, despite what happens in the short term. Even if we did have the nastiest bear market and it all of a sudden kicked in, it actually would be, anything that happens to crypto is bullish. If it goes up, it's bullish. If it goes down, it's actually bullish, because then it allows more people to get in. And that's why a lot of people don't even buy, because they feel like it's too high. But then when it crashes, they don't want to buy either, because they feel like it's going to keep going down until it reverses and then they get back in. So that's why you have three-wave moves a lot of times. Kind of like, it's going up, I'm not going to buy, right? And then you have a three-wave move, you have a correction, and then you kind of get spooked, right? Or basically it's going up and you're saying, well, I'll wait for a pullback. And then you get a pullback and then nobody buys. And then it goes back up and then everybody buys. But then what happens? It comes all the way back down. And then if these people then sell, then they would have been screwed twice, here and here. So it's the pivots is where people get messed up. So anytime you have a leg and then a consolidation, it's either a fourth wave or it's a reversal. So you DCA at the end of the third, or knowing that you could get a fifth, right? But then you DCA in the fifth, and then you get that reversal. So if, people would usually don't like to do that, because they would sell in here because they're already underwater and they don't want to risk more. But since the wave is already almost finished, it's better just to hold it, right? Depending on what's going on with the trade. So ADA, same thing. You got a nice three-wave move here. You got something going on. Now, is this going to be is this going to be like that? I mean, it kind of seems like that a little bit. I mean, you do have a double bottom, but it still looks kind of corrective. And a lot of times, we know this is a B wave because it came back down, right? So a lot of times what they could do is kind of start it off bullishly, right? Because that was kind of a bullish wave. You had a three-wave pullback. It looked pretty bullish. But then it just went up in one more, and it created the three-wave move. But it gave you the impression like, yeah, let's go, right? And then what happened? Now you're pulling back. I suppose that could be a 1 and that could be a 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, it actually looks pretty decent. A, B, C, or A, B, C, right? So another thing they do is they'll start, if like this is the bottom, they'll start it off corrective, making you think, hey, it's going to be a corrective wave, so we should have more downside. And then what they do is they'll climb it and they'll just bust it out, right? So, a lot of it has to do with just kind of matching up the other charts and kind of seeing where they're at. And if they all have a similar confluence and pretty much they're on track, then it makes it a little bit easier. But if one of them looks like up, another one looks like down, it could be a little sketchy. Total 3, see, is this a running flat? Or is this sort of like a regular flat? So it'd be I think I like the blue one a little better just because it looks a little flaggy, right? It came down, it's flagging. It just seems like, let's go hit the low here and then go up. H bar, completely different. It's more, I mean, you could say it's a three-way. Yeah, it is, but yeah, I don't think so. I think that's the fifth. I think this is just a grind down, maybe a grind up, and something like that. Otherwise, I could see it just kind of keep continuing. So it's all about, and then where's the pivot? In the retrace levels. That's why they're so dangerous. So Litecoin looks pretty good. I think, there's going to be a Litecoin ETF at some point. I mean, if anybody deserves it, it's Litecoin. It's been an OG for a while. So, and it's basically stood the test of time, and it's always visible. It's always there. So it's like, is it exciting? Probably not, but it's still a crypto, right? It's still really, collectible, as you would say. But, Litecoin has had a brutal time. But you're putting in the hard work, brutal hard work, right? So that what? You get big and strong, so that what? You can have the biggest breakout of your life. I mean, that's kind of how I look at it, because it's in formation of a rise, right? A rise crash, a retrace, reaccumulation, sideways accumulation, right? And then continuation, expansion. So, and then what would be the catalyst? I mean, obviously it would be probably the ETF, but maybe they're kind of holding off on that because the chart's not ready, right? They have finance guys working with them, and a lot of it has to do with timing, right? So if the chart's not quite ready yet, I mean, when would be the best time to release it? Probably in the retrace levels, like where? Well, hopefully it'd be the bigger one, right? So the 618, around there, $300 basically. So if we get back up here, without an ETF, without anything like that, then it consolidates. Then you get the ETF. Hey, it's here. Then you get the breakout. Because if it's the other way, meaning you get the ETF here, pushes the price up, you get to there, okay, now what? What else is going to push the price? Everybody knows the ETF is here. It's old news. The markets are basically, like they're processing information, and it's literally old news 2 seconds after it was released. Because markets are always looking for what's next, right? So like when we had C19, most people thought we're going to keep going down. But since C19 was already here, it's like, well, how much worse could it get? Everything's already shut down. The schools are shut down. Everything's shut down, right? So how much worse can it get? It can't get any worse. I mean, it could, but people are looking ahead. And what people would think ahead is, well, it can't get any worse. So, once you hit rock bottom, there's nowhere else to go but up. So that's how, people, the smart money will think about it. And that's why we went straight up. But then once we went straight up, it's like, okay, well, now what? There's nothing else to give me juice, right? The market constantly needs juice. That's a lot, partly made me, that's a lot of the reason why probably crypto is taking so long, is because they want to milk it, right? They want to tease it, and then they want to bring it back, and then they want to tease it, and then they want to bring it back, right? So you're building up that suspense. And then if something else, because it's all about ammunition, if something else can go off, like regulations, and get us up here, Then you can release the ETF to get it even going further, right? So it's all about, people got to buy the coin. So how do you buy the coin? You got to sell it. Well, how do you sell it? You can sell it with anticipation. You sell it with ammunition, right? Like the ETF, like regulations. But once you spend that card, you don't have that card anymore. So you got to play your cards right? Don't play your hand too quickly. And that has to do with Epstein and all that as well. So there's another situation going on with Epstein separate, right? The files. Well, obviously, a big thing is they've been corrupted, right? So the deep state hits back, right? So they corrupted the files and now they want them released. And I think Trump set them up because now they're begging for it to be released. So are they going to get the corrupted files or are they going to get the real files? I don't think they really I don't think they understand what's coming. Now, the illusion is that, oh, well, Trump doesn't want to do it because obviously he's implicated in it, right? And that's their main narrative. And that's the narrative they wanted to push, right? So that it puts Trump in a position, well, because they know if he releases it, it's not going to be what they think. So watch this. Go to Rumble and watch this right here. This one right here. This is the one you want to watch. It'll explain it all. So let's do a couple requests. The first one is this one, whatever this one is. Okay. It's called DMTR. All right. So DMTR. It's definitely not my favorite. I mean, there's just not really enough here. You got 3 up. You got 3 down, potentially. And it looks like you have maybe 1, 2, 3. And this is kind of like a 4 and then a 5. Or this could be a flat. It could be 1, 3, 3, and 3 or 5. And there's your 2. And then a continuation. So I think it's, you got a serious move up. Rather, that's a 1. Yeah, it's not a 1, 2, 1, 2. But if this is a 1 ABC, so it's either 2 things. It's either 3 up, and then, you have an impulse to the downside, a 3-wave correction, and then you're going to keep continuing down. That's the bearish look, right? And it's valid. The other idea is 3 waves up, 3 waves down, and then you get 3 waves back up, or 5, and it becomes a bigger 3. Or this is a 1, A, B, C, 2, and then, it just depends if this wave is finished. I don't know if it quite is yet. I mean, it looks like you got a little bit of a double bottom there. It looks like you had some capitulation, so I would wait for that range to break to get confirmation. Otherwise, you'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So maybe one more wave down. So, yeah, we'll come back to this one. So the next one is, it's called Credify. I'm assuming it has to do with credit and DeFi. You got 3 waves up. It's like the same thing as the other chart, really. You had your big opener, your initial sell-off, a 3-wave move, a 3-wave correction, back up here, And now you're starting to come down. Now we have to wait until this finishes, because we don't know if it's going to be 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5 later on. So now you do have like 3 up. Is this 3 up? I don't like the shape of it. So, and then I don't like this right here because it's only 3. So if you get 3 down and then you get 5 up, then we can look at it up here. But it still would seem like it would need, it just needs more correcting before it can go up. So I don't know. I think you need, because is this 5 waves? 1, 2, 3. It looks like you're in the middle of maybe 4, and then you get 5. Because if it was 3, you want it more wavy. You want it more like that. This is more impulsive. So we'll come back. So yeah, just remind me later. So the next one is radium. And this one, a little different. You got 5 waves. So you got your 5-wave move up. And now it's looking like either this is coming down to reset, and then you're going to come back up here, have a little bit of a C wave, then continue. And that'd be a 1 and a 2. Or it could be more like that, right? That would look better. So that's kind of what it needs. Now, is it possible that the 5th isn't in yet? Yeah, it could be like 1, 2, 3. And then that's kind of like 4. And now you're kind of gearing up for 5. And then get the ABC. So those are the 2 options I see with that one. How do you know which one it is? Well, I'd wait. If we take this low, or you take this high. So whichever one comes first is probably what is happening, unless, you could come up here and take the high, and it could be kind of like a flat, which would still be good because you'd expect more upside. You just get that another dump though. So not too much on this one. The other 2 had good percentages. I mean, this one you're looking at 500% to the upside. The other ones, I mean, even with this one, you don't know the inflation rate. You don't know if it'll ever get back to that high, right? It's kind of too new. You just have to wait and see if it can. Once it starts battling the retrace levels, then you got something to work with. Theta. And let's look at T-drop. I looked at T-drop the other day, but we could look at it again real quick. T-drop. I mean, I think T-drop looks good. I think it looks better than all the other ones a little bit, because maybe not the last one you had a solid 5 waves, but this one looks more like it's complete from the correction perspective. So you got this impulse, you got a 3-wave move down, you got this move up, and you're cocking back here. So I'd like to see this shoot up and start battling the downward resistance line, and then maybe kind of fight it a little bit, and then eventually get out of there. So that's how I'm looking at T-drop. Now, if we kind of do this, and then we get stuck, and then we come down in 3, and then we go up, I mean, that could be another situation. Or if we went up in 3, and then we came down, and this wasn't finished yet. Basically, it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? In which case, you'd probably break the low. So we really need that low in. And you really can't count it as a 1, 2 anymore, because it already broke the low. But I'm looking at, I mean, since it has so many crazy wicks, either way, you still have a nice three-way move here. So you should get, you should get three waves up. Theta. So theta, I mean, nothing's changed at all, really. The only thing would be the smaller time frames, right? And we already looked at that. I mean, you got a really nice three-way move. I mean, that's perfect. Look at that. It's just perfect, right? And then you shot straight up. So let's see if we continue. That's the whole idea. I really took a long, right? I took my profit when we started doing this crap. And because, it was looking like it was setting up for a three-way move. So then I entered back in right about there. But then it really didn't fill till like right about there. So I kind of missed it a little bit. So I'm just kind of looking at it. So for the day trading aspect of Theta, like I said, I exited the trade earlier. I got back in right there. So 79.68. So basically right there, this is a different exchange. So I think it's a little bit lower than that because the number, this one's usually more. So yeah, I mean, this happens so quickly right here. This, when it started doing this three-way move, I was looking for three, and then it shot down, and then it shot right back up. I look at it again, it's already up here. Dang, it moves quick. So, so there you go. Now, that's kind of my stop loss here. I want to see if, we get a little three-way move here, maybe enter a little bit more. And if you enter more, it's going to raise your average cost. So just know that. So sometimes when I want to go more, I actually don't get it here, but rather when we're kind of breaking out. Now it could be a flat too, right? In which case, under that situation, if I had already entered, I would just leave it, right? And so that's why you kind of really want to have more of your entry lower than higher, obviously, right? So yeah, I mean, it looks great. I mean, what can you say? You got this beautiful move here. So that's pretty much it. Even SHIB has it. Looks good. FET. Look at that one. Let's take a look at XDC. A little different. Monero, you want to hold the line in here. Something like that. I mean, they're all the same. So here we go. Yeah, that's it. Anyways, appreciate everybody. Oh, Theta Fuel real quick. Theta Fuel differently. I just don't like the way Theta Fuel moves. It's very just all of this. And I think that's because Theta Fuel, right? People use it as fuel. They're constantly burning it, right? So I think it just creates this extra layer of volatility, and it could really make it hard to read sometimes because it just doesn't have clear it's hard for Elliott wave traders to diagnose it, right? Because you would have to zoom completely out for it to make sense. And when I zoom out, I feel like we still got more upside. You know, pretty simple. But yeah, I would just pay more attention to the other charts. The other charts are telling a much better story. I mean, any of them really, near, AVAX, Theta, SHIB, they're all telling the same story. So I would have to assume Theta Fuel is in that category. But when you look at it, that's why I don't look at it too much, because I mean, you kind of got that three-wave move there, right? You got 3 and then 3, but it's just ugly, you know? So, but yeah, anyways, nothing here is financial advice. Again, I could be totally wrong on everything all of the time. So, no, but yeah, you need to figure it out. And the best way I could tell myself without telling you is just basically dollar cost average and hodl. You know, don't get under leverage unless you know how to trade. If you know how to trade, then do it. But if you don't, and you kind of just want the day by day price action, you can't go wrong with buying. You know, for example, if we have a 3-wave correction here, you can't go wrong buying that 5th wave with divergence on a DCA situation, right? So, I mean, you keep doing that. I don't know how you lose. You know, the only thing that defeats everyone is time. Time is the ultimate thing, because everyone wants it now. But, you know, sometimes it takes longer than you think. And that's been proven many times, right? So, but XRP versus Bitcoin, man, that looks really sharp. I mean, that's a serious move there. So, totally looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, and let's get 5. So basically, what this means is if you were holding if you were holding Bitcoin other than XRP at the start of June of last year, so basically over a year, if you were in Bitcoin for the last year, you lost. If you were in XRP for the last year, you won. Now, if you go back in time, you would definitely not want to be in Bitcoin. But then if you bought Bitcoin, or if you traded all your Bitcoin back here, you're actually up, because yes, it came all the way back down, but it never took the low. So you were actually better off if you bought XRP right here. You're better off being in XRP since 2021, right? Now, yeah, it has been going down all of this, and that's the problem, right? But it's followed by these sharp spikes up. And this one doesn't look finished. This one, you can see, if I can get rid of that for a minute, you could see it was only 3 waves, and then you just stalled out. This is also 3 waves, but look how it's correcting. It's correcting bullishly. This was correcting the wrong way, right? So this is correcting the right way. Now you can correct that way too, but this one just has a way better look. So anyways, I will catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.